Alright, peace, y'all. Peace, peace, peace. So in this video, I'm gonna be talking about the life of Don Cornelius. Alright, now, some people may or may not know this, but Don Cornelius was a huge staple in the music industry. Alright, he gave a lot of old school artists an opportunity. Alright, and also the youth as well. But we're going to talk about a few things. And like I always do with these videos, I'm going to be very respectful to Don Cornelius, his family, and his friends. All right. But I'm going to point out some things that I found to be sketchy, all right, in his story. All right. So Don Cornelius was born September 27th, 1936 in Chicago, Illinois. He went to DuSable High School and graduated in 1954. All right, and also joined the Marines and became a police officer after he graduated. In 1966, he found an opportunity and quit his job and took up a broadcasting course that helped people understand media training. All right, and after finishing the course, he got a job at WVON as a disc jockey in Chicago. All right. So a year later, he was presented with an opportunity to host a show called A Black's View on the News. All right. He also hosted another show called Kitty A Go Go and Red Hot and Blues. That basically catered to the urban youth. It showed a lot of kids dancing. He later started a tour and called it Soul Train, where he would go from school to school and focus on the talent of the youth. Alright. He was also able to convince a broadcast that, the idea of Soul Train would fit on television. So they gave him a shot. Now, I don't know how he was able to convince them to give him a shot to do the show, but I'm pretty sure that, him being well spoken and him having experience as a disc jockey, people knew that, he understood what he was doing. All right. So back then, you had to have a sponsor to get on television. You know what I'm saying? If you guys didn't know that. And he was able to get Sears and Roebuck on board to fund the show. All right. And the first episode of Soul Train actually aired August 17, 1970. All right. Now, Don Cornelius, he actually gave a lot of black artists opportunity at this time and was a huge staple in a lot of black artists' career. You know what I'm saying? Within a year, Soul Train was being aired in 18 different markets. All right. During this time, they didn't want Don Cornelius to get too big, so they made it very difficult for him to find advertisers. All right. Now, a lot of people know this. Like, when black people get involved in media, if you don't have no backing or you don't know anybody or pretty much not selling out, they're going to make it very difficult for you. The same thing goes with the independent route. When people take the independent route in the music business, it gets very difficult. Now, back then, the only commercials that actually aired during Soul Train, all right, was like hair products or something pertaining to black culture. He couldn't get the McDonald's and the big corporations, during that time. So, therefore, the show only aired in specific markets. All right. And it was very hard for him to gain a network sponsor, unlike people like Dick Clark, who basically stole his idea with the show called Soul Unlimited, all right, that aired on ABC in 1980, all right? So in 1982, he went and had brain surgery to fix his congenital deformities, which there were complications, all right, during the 21-hour surgery. Now, Don Cornelius admitted that after the surgery, he was never really the same. And I'm going to give my viewpoints on what I believe happened during this brain surgery. All right. But he continued to do Soul Train for a few years and stepped down in 1993. All right, now, my opinion is they did something to his brain. All right, because let's be honest here, Don Cornelius was definitely self-made. All right, he started the idea of Soul Train with $400. All right, and didn't have any sponsors backing him, but the show continuously grew. Right. So I kind of feel like they knew he was a threat and didn't want him to get as big, okay, or be as powerful as he did, because like I said, he was giving a lot of black people opportunities. All right, more than most people were at that time. All right. Now there was some allegations on Don Cornelius of him playing Bill Cosby games, but you guys could look that up. I'm not gonna go into detail because I have my viewpoints on that as well towards the end of this video. Now here's where it gets interesting, right? So Don Cornelius made 15 million without the help of broadcast stations, like I said, right, off of Soul Train. Now, when he stepped down, he sold it to another black company called Mad Vision, but he still kept partnership. All right, so it was kind of like a joint venture situation with him and Mad Vision. All right, there were talks of Viacom wanting to buy Soul Train. All right, but Don said since they didn't help him early on, why would he sell Soul Train, right? Which makes sense. So he was adamant of not really giving, you know, Soul Train to, these major corporations, right? All right. And then, he meets a woman by the name of Victoria Chapman in 2001. In my opinion, who basically set him up. All right. On February 1st, 2012, Don Cornelius was pronounced dead. All right, with a gunshot wound to his head. All right. Now, Victoria, who has said Don was physically abusing her, all right, filed 2 restraining orders against him and filed for a divorce and was granted $10K a month in spousal support. All right. Now, I'm going to give my conclusion on this. Viacom actually wanted ownership of Soul Train, all right, but Don didn't want to let it go. All right. Now, this all stems from the copyright laws. If y'all didn't know, the copyright laws changed in 1970, all right, and also in 1982. So before, the way the copyrights worked, you would be able to copyright a song for a certain amount of years, and then you would have to re-copyright the song again, right? Now, you say, Jay, what does copyrights have to do with anything? All right. Now, let's pay attention to Soul Train, where those old episodes were all live performances of the actual artists, right? They were all live performances, which Don Cornelius actually owned, okay? But the label owned the music, but not the live performances. It's a big difference. It's a really big difference. Now, the labels and the artists, they weren't aware of this type of ownership of copyrights at this time. Nobody even knew this. All right. When he stepped down in 1993, if you notice on Soul Train, they started using actual tracks and would make artists lip sync the music. Okay. This was pretty much a glitch in the copyright laws. So Don basically owned those live performances of a lot of those legendary artists, all right, such as James Brown, Shaka Khan, Al Green, Michael Jackson, all of these different artists that would come on Soul Train. He actually had partnership and ownership of those live performances, all right? So just my opinion, right? They sent Victoria at him to get all he was worth. Okay, so like I said, when you come in this business and they give you money or whatever the case may be, you're not leaving out of this business with anything if you're not playing that game. All right. Now his life insurance was worth $300,000, right? But she couldn't collect it unless it was within a 2-year span. Even if he committed suicide, she still couldn't get the money, right? So I always thought that suicide was not really allowed, okay, in insurance. But somehow they finessed it so that she could get paid. All right. Now, ironically, I found it weird. Like a year before he died, she convinced Don to put the house and all his assets in her name. All right. Maybe she forged it. I don't know. But that was kind of weird, knowing that they were going through domestic disputes, and she was she had a restraining order on him. Why would he put everything in her name? It just didn't sound right. So once she was able to do that and get all of the information in her name, all right. This is when and mind you, she was a Russian model, so I don't doubt that she had some Russian mafia dudes put a hit on Don. You know what I'm saying? And after he died, she sold his house for 1.8 million. All right, and didn't leave the kids anything. Now, I'm just gonna say this, right, because I found this to be very ironic. There was a hit put on Don Cornelius. I don't believe that he actually killed himself. Okay, I believe that there was a hit put on him, and this woman had a lot to do with it. Like I said, if you don't play the game right, and you come in the game and you just I'm gonna do my own thing. It's you only gonna get but so far. All right, you only gonna get but so far. I noticed something in the Wu Tang series. On the second, I think it was the second, the third season, they had a episode with Old Dirty Bastard, right? And in that episode, Old Dirty Bastard's job was to kill Don Cornelius. All right, so they do everything subliminal. All right, everything is subliminal. So these people that possibly owned the rights to whatever now, because now Soul Train is owned by Viacom miraculously. But we don't ever see an episode of Soul Train airing on TV. All right, wonder why. All right, but I don't think, and I'm address this too. They had a lot of stories out there of Don Cornelius, playing the Bill Cosby games of drugging women and sexually assaulting women and kidnapping them and all of this stuff, right? I don't believe that. All right, I don't believe that because they did the same thing to Bill Cosby. All right, whenever you have a black entertainer, and this is what I want to say, whenever you have a black entertainer that stands for something or that teaches, okay, other black individuals about themselves or tells them to stand up or hey, you could do this or do that, all right, they usually try to put slander on you. All right, they put slander on you. All right, and then they did the same thing with Bill Cosby. Even the accusers of Bill Cosby came out and said, "Oh, my story was fabricated, so I could sell my book or whatever." They all do it to get paid. All right, so I'm not really buying the whole sexual allegations thing. They want to tarnish his name. The same thing that they did with Tupac. When all of these people die, they tend to want to tarnish, all right, black people's name, okay, and they get these Caucasian individuals to come out and say, oh, he did this to me and did that, and next thing you know, the person's legacy is tarnished now, because you can't die a legend in this business. You can't, you cannot die a legend. They have to tarnish your name somehow. All right, you're gonna start hearing a whole bunch of stories, all right, about these people that passed away.
You want that good, that type of nigga. You don't even do that. You ain't never put the work in. Fucking with a nigga that's a body man. Everybody know dude's a body man. I've been saving his career, bro. Nipsey got gay shit on him, bro. Also on my mom. This stuff, we got all the footage.
Wow.
Now you take a look at people, and let's just clear this up. When we take a look at people like Bill Cosby, right? He was considered the TV dad. Now they got Carl Winslow, all right, as the TV dad. Why? Because Carl Winslow has been a good boy. Carl Winslow has not told black people to stand up. Carl Winslow has not tried to buy any networks. Carl Winslow was just a regular person in the cut. You barely saw him. So now America made him the new TV dad, right? They even got commercials about it. But this is what I'm saying, y'all. This business is very shady. All right, I'm just gonna say this out front. This business is very shady, and I don't think that Don Cornelius was involved in any type of weird sexual allegations, that's all slander in my opinion. You know, these people are destined to destroy a legacy if they can. You know, they're paid actors. Some people call them crisis actors. You know, it's all media. All right, it's all part of the media, man. It's a joke. All right, it's a joke. It's for you or your children not to look up to these individuals and say, hey, you know what, this person was a bad person. You know, so that's what they basically did, man. But like I said, man, rest in peace to Don Cornelius. He made a very, very huge impact in the music business, gave a lot of people an opportunity, okay, when no one else would. Okay, we wouldn't know a lot of these people without Don Cornelius. All right, and he always kept it, tall. You know what I'm saying? He always kept it tall, and I don't believe that they tried to put the gay rumors on him and all of that stuff. I don't believe none of that, man. You know, you gotta really do your history and due diligence on certain things, and if it ain't adding up, it ain't adding up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. With that being said, man, I talked about this. I'm gonna get to that Bruce Lee video. I know some of y'all on Patreon asked me about a Bruce Lee video. I'm gonna do that real quick and drop some more heat for y'all. All right, peace, y'all.
Rakim, you don't smile too much.
I ain't no joke. I just.